Hi, my name is Jamie. I'm a student here at Turing, and I'd like to ask you if you've ever felt like an imposter or a fraud before in your work or school. I know I certainly have. My first week here at Turing was a combination of excitement and terror. Excitement on one hand for starting, and terror on the other hand, because I didn't know if I would be able to keep up with everybody or learn as fast as everyone. And it was a very lonely feeling. I assumed that I was alone in feeling that way because it always seems like everybody else is like really happy and really successful, um, and so I felt very lonely in feeling this. And it turns out though that that assumption was wrong. In fact, most people at Turing felt the same way. In fact, it's so common that one day my mentor, um, when I was really, I was particularly stressed out that day, and my mentor was like, "Look, there's this thing. It's called Impostor Phenomenon, and it's very common among programmers. And look it up." So I immediately Googled it, and one of the first things that showed up in the search was Tina Fey, and that was a little surprising. I was like, Tina Fey, what does she have to do with imposter syndrome? Well, it turns out that a lot of very successful people experience it. Tina Fey, the beauty of the imposter syndrome is you vacillate between extreme egomania and a complete feeling of, I'm a fraud. Oh God, they're onto me. I'm a fraud. The COO of Facebook, Sheryl Sandberg, attended a speech called Feeling Like a Fraud and decided they were speaking directly to her. Kate Winslet, I can't do this. I'm a fraud. Maya Angelou, I run a game on everybody and they're going to find me out. There's many more examples of very talented, very successful people saying very similar things, and it was almost heartbreaking for me to read these quotes. Chuck Lorre, the creator of The Big Bang Theory. I've highlighted the word fraud in red, just so you notice how many times that word shows up. Don Cheadle, Matt Damon, I have terrible, grave concerns about my own ability. So, what exactly is imposter syndrome? Well, I like this slide because it pretty much sums it up in a nutshell. It's when your abilities increase, but your confidence in your abilities remains low. And even though you may become extremely successful, despite having lots of success and lots of praise from your peers, it, for whatever reason, your confidence just remains at that low level. And oftentimes people will write off their success as being due to good luck or good timing or being a hard worker. Of course, there's people on the other end of the spectrum, those with the Dunning-Kruger effect. All I have to say to that is ignorance is bliss. So who experiences imposter phenomenon? It turns out that people who work in the fields of academia and open source software are particularly prone to experience it because they're fields where there's a lot of peer review of your work. Also, imposter phenomenon is pretty much only experienced by high achievers. In a strange way, it's actually can be kind of a good sign if you have it, because it probably means that you're very good at what you do and you're pretty successful. So I wanted to know if it was true that the software field has higher frequencies of imposter syndrome than the general population. And so I invited students at Turing to take a survey, and the results were quite eye-opening. It turns out that 60% experience what would be considered as frequent to intense imposter syndrome. Here are the actual survey results. We have a nice bell curve, which is to be expected. A good 16% experience intense imposter syndrome. So if you know that you have these feelings, what can you do to bring your anxiety levels down? The first thing that helps is to know that you're not alone. As the survey results show, you have lots of company. In fact, you have very good company. The number one reported social disorder at Google is imposter syndrome. In fact, they have a support group there called the Impostor Googlers. The second thing, which can be difficult to do, is to stop comparing yourself to others. Comparing yourself to others is an act of self-violence because you're comparing your insides to other people's outsides, and that's not a fair comparison. And the third thing that you can do is take the courage to step out of your comfort zone, but at the same time set the bar at a realistic level. You don't have to be perfect, and you don't have to be an Einstein. Although, interestingly, Einstein said this 1 month before he died. So I wanted to end on a positive note with a quote from the legendary dancer Martha Graham. No artist is pleased. There is no satisfaction whatever at any time. There is only queer, divine dissatisfaction, a blessed unrest that keeps us marching and makes us more alike than the others. To all the great actors, or anyone who has ever felt like an imposter, fake, or fraud, you can continue to fight it, or you can rejoice in the blessed unrest that allows you to share the same human insecurity as some of the most talented people on the planet. Thank you.